Welcome to another episode of VGN Weekly. Members of the Virtual Grip crew will recap the previous week's races and bring us one-on-one interviews with racers, league owners, and commentators, as well as others from within the sim racing community. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner or potential sponsor and have a broadcasting need, please visit virtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. Thanks for tuning in today. Now let's go find some grip.
As the Virtual Grip Network gears up for another week of action-packed racing, let's take a look back at last week's winners. The OBRL Yesteryear Racing Cup Series would visit New Hampshire Motor Speedway for 170 laps. It would take some patience late after pit strategy where Daniel Hill would make a daring move passing Courtney Nelson with 50 to go and never looking back and locks himself into round 3 of the playoffs. Yesteryear Racing's Tour Modified Series would visit Oxford Plains Speedway. Scott Negus would put on a clinic leading all 200 laps in his first win of the season.
And welcome to this episode of VGN Weekly. I am your host, John Hine, along with Josh Buckley, and we're welcoming this week some old friends of the show. We've got the Double Deuce, Bruce Pearson, and the Canadian Goose, John Wilson, with us here, both BRL drivers, primarily BRL drivers, but you see them across the VGN airwaves and other series also. But we are here this week to talk about the new season of BRL coming up and which will be starting this Saturday night, and a brand new venture that's very unique to iRacing. It's kind of there is a Silver Crown, the Asphalt Sprint, the Dirt Midget, and the Dirt Non-360 or Non-Wing 360. It's going to be a series all meshed into one, and it's going to be a lot of fun. How are you guys?
Be here, guys.
Good, yeah, good, thanks.
Well, let's jump right into this whole deal here. You know, kind of give everybody a background how this is all going to lay out. It looks like, you're going to have one giant series, going to run all 4 cars with an overall. And welcome to this episode of On-Wing, the Asphalt Sprint, or even the Silver Crown car. Every one of those cars are going to get 4 races during the season, so it's going to be a pretty cool deal. I'll start with you, John, here. Which one of the 4 which one's going to be your strong suit?
I think the last time we ran the series, and lately, my strongest is probably going to be the Midget. It's probably my favorite of the 4. But yeah, I think that's going to be where I maybe shine a little bit more than the others.
How about you, Bruce?
Well, I'm fairly new to dirt, so I'm definitely probably going to be end up more successful with the Silver Crown and the Asphalt Sprint car. But I am practicing on the dirt. I really love the 360 non-wing, so I think I'm going to end up by the end of the year doing pretty well on that.
Well, I tell you, I'm in your boat, Bruce. The non-wing 360 has got to be my favorite of the 3. It's going to be a very interesting series because I kind of laugh, but all 4 cars actively try to kill you no matter where you're at on the track. It could be in the straightaway, it could be in the corner. They just don't cooperate, and you've got to really be disciplined to drive them. Full throttle, not going to happen. And you might be able to do it in the Midget, but outside of that, the other 3, it'll be rare that you go to full throttle for any period of time. So, well, on the flip side of that, go back to you, John, real quick. Which one is going to be your Achilles heel? Which one's gonna give you the most fits here early on?
I think it'll probably be both the Asphalt Sprint and the 360 non-wing. I just got to get a little bit lighter with my foot on that throttle and try to keep it going in a straight line. And we'll see how things go as the season goes on, though.
Yeah, Bruce, you said the dirt. You got kind of both of them.
Yeah.
So guys, what is the biggest challenge for you? I'll start with you here, Bruce, real quick, on the dirt side of things.
Right now, I've been learning how to just control the car, how to set the corner. That's the biggest thing for me, is just getting in the corner the right way. So I haven't had a chance to practice a line yet. I'd rather stay in low or stay in high. So I'm worried about spinning out and getting in front of someone and ruining their race, losing control. Because I think our league is the bootleg league's really, really, the driver's really good about not trying to mess up, doing the best they can to not mess up someone else's race. So I'm kind of stressed out going into the dirt, messing everyone's race up, because I'm really struggling with either staying high against the wall, which I cannot do right now at all, or just staying low. When it pushes and I go out toward the wall, I don't want to do this inopportune slide job in front of someone and take them out.
Yeah. How about for you, John?
Like I said, I guess it's just being more patient on the throttle. Just trying to keep from spinning those wheels, and like Bruce said, keep it going in a line. Sometimes that 360 non-wing, it drives you instead of you driving it, depending on your throttle inputs and whether or not you use the brake. I've learned sometimes in that car the brake is not your friend. You drive it with your throttle rather than the brake pedal.
You even do that under caution, by the way.
Yes.
Josh, you got a question?
So kind of a curious thing on all sets. So Bruce, you're pretty much in the same spot I am. I really know next to nothing about dirt. I'm terrible with it. I can't even figure out what line I'm supposed to be running half the time. So curious, and this is going to be for both ends. If asphalt is a little more difficult for you, John, but just the preparation that's going to go into it. Obviously, we already talked a little bit on what the primary focuses are, but how much time do you plan to put in? What are the big differences? And is there anybody that you try to lean on in BRL that might be able to help you, that you may have already talked to or plan to maybe reach out to?
Well, I guess Chris Davis has reached out to me a little bit. I haven't reached out to him yet. He's offered his help. I'm afraid to embarrass myself right now asking him for some help. So I want to try to get a working knowledge, a base, so that he can help me. Right now, he would probably just go, I have no idea how to help you. So I'm trying to get an understanding what the cars are doing. And once I feel that I'm comfortable with that, then I can maybe reach out to him. And John, you've offered too, and I appreciate that. But you guys would just look at me and put your forehead in your palm and go, no, this is going to be horrible. I have a lot to learn.
Yeah, if it makes you feel any better, I'd be right there with you.
But I'm an eager learner. I'm practicing every night. After the Red Light League on Thursday, I switch off and jump in the two different cars. Now, I have found that if I practice the midget first, I just can't do anything in the big 360. So once I flipped and started doing the 360 practicing first, then I could manage the midget a lot better. So it's even that I could figure out, like you said, John, that 360 just beats you up. So if I do that first, then the midget's a little bit more tame, and I can control that thing a little bit better.
I love the grins that they're getting as soon as you talk about that too. They're smiling ear to ear about it. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I took I built my rig out of wood with the same measurements. I had a Legends car that I sold, so I took all the measurements where the seat was and the steering wheel, the pedals. So I took the old seat out of that. It didn't have the halo because that was illegal at the track I was running. So I use that seat now in my rig. And when I'm in that 360, it has the sides of the seat that wrap around your ribs. Even though I'm in a stationary rig, when I'm in that sprint car, I find my ribs going into that side of the seat on the right side, and the rig's not going anywhere. But with my force feedback wheel, I feel like it's trying to buck me off like I'm on a bull. but it is fun.
Bruce, I do the same thing. I'm sitting in a race seat, like an old race seat from a race car, and I find myself leaning into that side panel, I guess you would call it, all the time. Mm-hmm. Even in BRL, I have the lean in the corners. Like, it's there. You know it.
Yeah.
I think that kind of happens to all of us, though, to be honest with you. I've caught myself a couple times when you're really focused in and like really honed in. Next thing you know, if you pay attention, you're leaning just a little bit when you're turning. And it's like, whoa, what am I doing?
Yeah, I've even noticed in the corners, because on a real racetrack you don't breathe in the corners. I never realized this until quite a few years ago. Somebody said something because you don't breathe in the corners, and I'm like, well, no, that's not right. And went out there and consciously realized, no, you breathe on the straightaways. And I found myself doing that in the sim, doing the same breathing patterns and stuff that I would do in
Yeah.
a real car. And the dumbest thing that I've ever done, though, is because I race in VR. So, you're like in the car, and we were running a BRL race, and caution came out, and I've got my fan over here to the side of me. And I went and reached my hand out the window, like from the inside the VR, to get the airflow into the car. So, so there you go for submersion. But the leaning thing, yeah, I bet you if you pulled iRacers, that would probably be a 90% pull. I would think people that kind of do that kind of thing. Especially, I'd have to think even higher on dirt. I think it'd be higher on dirt than because the car is angled funny, and you kind of got to lean towards you're pointed in a weird direction. Asphalt, you're kind of looking right ahead and you turn and all that, but dirt, you're kind of looking out the side of the car mid corner rather than right in front of you. At least you should be.
Yes.
See, I'm curious about the holding my breath. Like I haven't raced a car, but I've driven or run late models and modifieds, and I can't recall if I was actually breathing in the corners or not. And it was at Thompson, so the way Thompson
Well,
was, just looking at a wall coming at you, and I'm just like, I don't remember if I was breathing in those corners.
well, I had a doctor actually tell me that. So I mean, I was kind of shocked when they said it, and it's all because of the G forces that come down on your body. You can't breathe.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've got, I mean, when you get in the corner, you all of a sudden your body, is under, probably 3 times its weight into a corner on a real track. So I don't know if I do it in iRacing because that's just how I always have done, driving in those situations. Because obviously there's no G forces in iRacing, but I still do it. In fact, I paid attention to it just a few weeks ago, actually, and just the same breathing cadence that I had that I used to run in real life, I do in iRacing. So, that's, to me, I just kind of found that really interesting, which is a tribute to iRacing and everything they put together and put a product that gets you pretty close to being on the track, is what you can be. And hats off to them because especially when you're in a heated battle, you're that far off somebody's bumper and you're trying not to kill them, trying to figure out how to get around them, trying not to wreck yourself and trying not to get past. When you got all that stuff going on at one time, breathing becomes secondary anyway. So at least for me, that multitasking, I can't do all that well. So, we talk about the season and preparing the season and stuff like that. Have you guys discovered tracks that you think are going to line up to maybe your skill level or your comfort level? We will be on bigger tracks and we'll be on bull rings. I mean, we're going to start at a bull ring at Kern, small track, elbows out, not a lot of room to operate, not a forgiving track. You make a small mistake there, it's especially in those open wheel cars, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. And then there's other tracks that we'll go to, like a Lernerville, kind of more of a wide open space. Heck, you don't even have a wall halfway around the track anyway. So if you get in trouble, you just, go off down the hill. So have you guys figured out a track that you think will suit your style?
I haven't tried any of the others other than Lanier and Kern, but I think for me personally, it's to my advantage to start off on a really difficult track.
Yeah.
Because there you're going to have to learn what you can and cannot do in a really tight space. And so when we do have the bigger tracks, that we have, if you've perfected that skills well, if you've gotten somewhat good at that skill set, it's going to be a lot easier to be more successful at a bigger track with more room. So I haven't tested them yet, but I just want to get past Kern first.
We all do. We all do. How about you, John? Is there, I know you run more dirt, so I mean, are there tracks that you kind of like better than others? The higher banks, or even the flatter, or what
Lernerville
tracks?
is Lernerville is probably my favorite. I did take the 360 there when Lowell first announced that we were going back to this sprint car trail, and ran some laps on it and got actually pretty comfortable with a dirt track like 10 minutes from my house that really resembles Lernerville. It only has the wall down the front stretch, wide open corners. It feels like home. And that's the track I went to when I was a kid and like all growing up. And then I was a crew guy at that track for, 4 or 5 years. So that's probably my favorite, my go-to.
Are you describing Brighton?
I am so.
Okay. Uh, I've been there, so
Have you?
that's yes. So
Yes.
that's a really cool facility up there. Canada's got a couple. I mean, Oshweek, Brighton. You got some really nice tracks up there, man.
Yeah,
Um,
they just finished last night their Applefest shootout with the 358 modifieds and the Sportsman. That was Friday night and last night, so I can hear them from my house. It's pretty cool.
that's awesome. You know, as we're looking at Kern the first week here, I mean, you guys obviously you've practiced a little bit here, Bruce. Um, let's start with the non-wing because we'll all agree that's probably the most difficult car. Um, what is your mindset before you? I mean, okay, you're out there on your own right now, so you don't have to worry about running into anybody, or if you wreck, who cares? You reset, you go. But what is your guys' mindset going to be Saturday when you've got other cars out on that track and guys are having the same issues you are, and cars kind of taking them wherever they want to go?
John, you go first.
Basically, like Bruce had said earlier, not wrecking somebody else's race. Just trying to keep it under control. We have lots of practice time beforehand, and get comfortable in the car. If you feel like you're pushing it, back up just a little bit. Like maybe don't try to hit full throttle going down that straightaway because you probably shouldn't anyway. And just try to drive it under control. For me, anyway.
I don't know how many of the other guys in the league are brand new to the dirt environment. I know that
Quite a few.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
So, well,
I would, Bruce, if it makes you feel better, I would say half the field, if not higher.
Okay. Then, well, I'm going to try to survive, and then afterwards go back and watch all you fast guys in the replay and learn. We talked when I was on the broadcast earlier that how I like watching film, being an old wrestling coach. So I will be doing that. It's hard. I wanted to do some AI, but there is no AI in the dirt. They don't have those dirt tracks. So I guess I'm going to maybe have to jump into some official series races and just see what it's like to be around the other cars. During the week 13, they did have I forget the name of it, but it was a run race with I jumped in an unmodified and a micro midget. There's like 4 different cars out there. And that was the one track that I actually saw the track get really dry slick. Because in practice, it's a pretty decent track, right? So I'm watching to see how the track's going to change. But in that, during week 13, it was all slick and blacked out. And oh my gosh, it was almost impossible for me to drive. So I'm very curious to see how the track's going to change and how everyone has to change their driving style. You have to worry about that on asphalt.
No, you don't have to worry about that on asphalt, and I'll tell you, a lot's going to depend on the car count on that stuff, and the secret with those is that big right rear. You lean on that a lot, and you got to find, where you can get grip, wherever you can get grip with that thing. But yeah, you know what? I'll commit right now to, we're going to run big blocks for the first time on Friday night, the night before, which will be a lot of fun, a lot different. It's an ugly car, but they're fun to drive. It's one of the more popular cars on iRacing that, as far as dirt goes. But after the race on Friday, I'll throw up a practice session there with the non-wing. So I'll commit to doing that and get some guys some laps on a track, with other cars and stuff like that. And hell, maybe even let me knock some rust off myself, so I don't, wreck somebody's night too. I mean, believe it or not, I know I have a lot of dirt experience, opposed to most of the people that are going to be starting. But I'm going to tell you that you share my concern. That is my worry going in there, is not screwing up somebody else's race, because I get squirrely in that car. Even the guys that know how to do the dirt, man, those cars are hard. And I don't want to scare anybody away from it. It's just got to take time to kind of get, find your way with those cars. So, but Josh, you got one?
Yeah, we kind of hit on it a little bit, but I've been thinking about this because especially if you're going to something that you're not used to. With me, it would be if I was running. I'm not used to dirt really at all. I've run it a few times, but nothing crazy. I always like to set goals for myself, and obviously don't wreck like we talked about. That's obviously key, or to keep the car clean. But like actual goals, say if there's roughly 20 cars, there's going to be 20 cars out there. Where do your goal to finish the race? Where is that for you? Obviously, it's going to change. Bruce, if you're more familiar with asphalt stuff, that's going to change with the asphalt cars compared to dirt. I'm just curious to see the mindset wise what you guys both have set for goals for each other.
Well, I have found that my mindset has changed as I've been involved in bootleg. The first couple seasons was just survive, stay out of people's way, and try to learn how everyone was racing. Then it was to learn how to come through the pack. And then the next mindset was try to work my way toward a top 5, and then eventually try to win races. In the red light, for example, when I went there, bootleg we don't qualify. So if Josh, you go back and look at all the races I've started, I very rarely qualify. But then recently I started to learn, try to qualify. And that's helped me in the yesteryear series, because I'm a horrible qualifier because I don't have to do it in bootleg. So my mindset has changed throughout the season. So going into this is to basically try to get in the top 50%. And I think that I study enough that I'm going to put that pressure on myself to try to be that efficient, to finish that high and stay out of people's way, but also improve my skill set. And maybe if this, low brings us back, is try to get even higher the next time around. But right now it's just try to be in the top 50% of finishers.
All right. How about you, John?
I would say right along the same lines. The midget, like I said, is probably my favorite of the 4 cars. So I would like to finish a little higher in that one if I can. Maybe push myself a little harder in that car because I'm more comfortable in it. The 360, if I can, like Bruce said, finish in the top half, that would be awesome. The Silver Crown, the only experience I have in the Silver Crown is when we ran this series before. But it, if I remember correctly, is a fairly, I don't want to say easy because that's not the right word, but a decent car to drive. A lot more controllable than, say, the asphalt sprint car. So if I can get some decent results in that one, I would be quite happy. And then the asphalt sprint, yeah, probably if I can make the top half, that would be great as well.
Setting their goals like that too. I mean, are you guys will watch points though, and points chase though, won't you?
Oh yeah.
So what would your goals be? You take the races themselves aside, but what would be at the end of when this whole thing is said and done, what would be a success? If once you look at the points, where do you think you'd fall?
Go ahead, Bruce.
Top 10. I don't want to be in top 10.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
If I can be in the top 10 in any or all of them, would be really cool.
Yeah, it'll be neat to see the turnout and stuff like that too, because that'll factor a lot into, what the racing is like and things like that. So, hopefully we can get 15, 20 guys out there on a regular basis and compete in those things. So, looking ahead, you know, we've talked about the differences between the two. Does your mindset on the asphalt change to the dirt? Because, Bruce, I know you're more of an asphalt guy, so I would have to think you have a higher level of confidence. But do you feel like you'll approach those races any different than the dirt?
Not really. With maybe a certain level of more confidence, obviously, but I do like those cars. I have some experience in those cars. Like I was telling you guys earlier, I use those to work up to my A license.
Yeah.
And the John's right. I think the compared to the asphalt cars, the Sprint is a little bit harder to drive. The Silver Crown it seems to drive with more control. You can maintain more control of it. Both of them, you never really get full throttle. If you do, you're never going to make the corner. You're going to push up. But between those two, the asphalt is certainly brings a level of comfort, but the cars are still very different than what we've been modified, the SKs and the late models. But totally different throttle, applications. So that's good. I think that's a good move by Lowell, because it's bringing, for a lot of drivers who are going to do that, it's more exciting. It's a lot more fun. Not that the late models and SKs are getting boring, but it's just, this gives you a chance to kind of be excited about learning new skills, and hopefully that all carries over into the late models and the SKs.
You know what, and it will. Driving those cars will make you a better race car driver in the sim, 100%. How about for you, John? John, I don't. You joined BRL. You came in through the dirt street stocks.
I did.
So, are you a dirt guy? You an asphalt guy? Where do we? I don't even know where to put you on that scale.
Well, when I came
you've had a lot of success running them both.
Yeah, when I came into BRL, it was to run dirt, and then somebody, I don't remember actually who, talked me into coming out and running some asphalt street stocks, and that went okay. And then I kind of went away from the asphalt again for a little bit, stayed with the dirt. And then when the dirt went away and I was kind of forced, isn't the word to use, but forced to stay with asphalt.
You can say forced.
I don't know, I started to have some decent results, and I don't know how, but I did manage to win a championship on the asphalt, which I didn't do in the dirt. So I don't know really either where to classify myself, as a dirt guy or an asphalt guy. I guess this is a good series for me because I can run both, I guess.
So will your approach, because now you've got a certain comfort level with both, so I got to assume your approach is probably going to be right along the same lines on both, same goals, same everything.
Yes. And Bruce, the word I was looking for was forgiving. Not
okay.
Easy, forgiving. The Silver Crown is definitely more forgiving.
Yes.
But yeah, my approach will probably be the same. Again, try not to overstep my skill level and just constantly improve.
Yeah, well, and that should be your goal no matter what you're driving and however long you've been driving those particular cars. Everybody can get a little better. Even the great J.R. Shepherds of the world as scary as it sounds, they could always get better. You can always learn something, find something new, so that's kind of the cool thing about racing. The things that frustrate you the most, at least for me, is when you think you figured something out in like 3 or 4 laps, it changes. Asphalt, you can kind of heat the tire up maybe because all of a sudden you start running a little faster. Dirt, the grip and the groove will move on you. You could be setting, hey, this is great. I've got it down, got my rhythm down. 5-10 laps, all of a sudden, hey, where'd the grip go? The car's wanting to swap ends on you every time you go through the corner all of a sudden. So that to me is going to be, I think, a big challenge. I know, I'll go personally on my end here. I have more pace on dirt than I do asphalt. And in those cars, I feel like for the dirt guys that are going to be in there, I think keeping up with the track conditions or that's going to be the key to probably success, to being on the podium and being, top 5, top 10, for the guys that have a lot of experience doing that, because those cars need grip to go fast. If not, it takes a whole lot of throttle control to do that. So, um, that's that'll be the fun thing for folks that are doing it is, this is why I would encourage people coming out, because, man, you know how much fun that is actually having to chase a racetrack around, thinking, on asphalt, no disrespect to asphalt. So I'm not wanting to start a dirt versus asphalt, debate here.
Don't
But
do that yet.
no, but dirt, asphalt's not easy. Asphalt short track racing is not easy.
No.
Okay, I mean, because you've got to do a lot more strategy. There's more chess involved, I think, on asphalt. Dirt, you've got a lot of options, and it's up to you, the guy with the wheel and his foot on the throttle. The guy's in my lane. Well, I've got to go somewhere else, and you can make somewhere else work. You don't get that as much on asphalt, but that's what I would always challenge people. Hey, come out and do it. I mean, it's a whole different mindset, and chasing the track can be a lot of fun. But I do think that that's where the big thing is that people are going to have to figure out. And, I don't know how many actual dirt guys, I think Chris Davis, be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
John, you'll be part of it.
Yeah.
I'll be part of it. Steven Spees will be part of it. And Spees, by the way, he's going to be the guy to beat in the midgets. I'll just say that right now. That's going to be the guy to beat. I can't keep up with him in a midget.
Don't you normally want to beat the champion or past champion of that?
I always want, it doesn't matter with Steven. I always just want to beat him. I mean, two reasons. One, I don't like losing to him. And two, God, the crap he will talk, when he can put one over on, so, but, yeah, Steven will be the one to beat in that, and now the asphalt thing, I mean, you guys probably don't have a sense yet until we get on the track, who might be the guy to beat on the asphalt. That's kind of the weird thing about going into this series. I mean, BRL's got to start their late model series, you on Saturday right afterwards. That'll be on VGN right here. And you show up there, the 4 or 5 guys you got to contend with, your James Lowe's, your Todd Listons, your Bruce Pearsons, John Wilsons, the 4 or 5 guys you've got to deal with. This asphalt sprint, I can't begin. I don't know. I really don't know. I've looked at the drivers signed up, and it's going to be the wild, wild west, which I think might actually make it fun.
I'll say it'll make it entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
I think Davis, if he's running the asphalt side, I think he'll be fast because he's pretty fast in everything he gets into, and his mindset, he's aggressive. So,
yeah, but those cars do not reward aggressive. That's the part that Chris is gonna. He's gonna be one of those guys. I'm gonna be real interested to see, because, John used the word forgiving earlier. Those cars are not forgiving, and when you're aggressive, a high level amount of aggressive, which Chris is, those cars will bite you.
I think what's consistent between all 4 of these is you have to be really cerebral.
Yes.
I was a wrestling coach out in Davis, California, high school coach, and one of the kids on the team, his dad was a professor at the vet med school, and he gave me the biggest compliment one day. He came and watched the tournament, and he says, I had no idea. He was listening to me coach, and we were talking strategy and technique, because I had no idea that wrestling was so cerebral, and it really is. And these 4 series are the physical. There's physical needs of all these 4 cars. They're all different, but you're going to have to be a thinker the whole time to be patient, use that throttle foot smart, not super aggressive. Davis is one of the ones that I've seen that's really good at that. Spees is really good at that as well. John, you're really good at that. I'm learning. Both Johns are really good at that. If we could get Buckley out there, that'd be fun to see.
Whoa.
I know. I think that's my mission here in the next 12 weeks, is to get him to run at least one of each of them. Just one race. You don't have to do them all. One race of each of them.
It's funny. I have a dirt buddy who he's literally, and you can ask him. He has tried and he has tried and he has tried. And I've showed up for a couple of them. There was one car that I did pretty well with, but you guys aren't running it, so I don't know. Dirt and me, we just don't get along.
Well, the thing about the four of them that, Josh, is, I'll let these guys kind of say, is there anything that you can take from one into the other? Because, when we're going to go to the same track, we're going to start with the midget and then go to the 360, same track, same night, same thing on the asphalt. Is there anything you guys think you can glean in that first race that you can apply in that second race of the night?
Oh boy.
With those cars. I mean, that's a tough question because I don't know if I could answer that.
For me, on the dirt side, not really, because the track changes depending on the lines guys drive, temperature, all of that stuff. So the 360 is going to put a lot of stress on the track, where the midget may not, because guys aren't running that same line. So to me, other than actual like car control or whatever, I don't know if there's anything that you can really transfer back and forth. I would say the only thing I would transfer back and forth would be, and it happens a week later, is driving that 360 non-wing and that asphalt sprint car. Because they're both the same. You really have to ease into that throttle in both of those cars. So I think switching those two, I could maybe gain more experience from one to the other.
That's a great point. I never really thought about comparing those two cars, but those two cars really are pretty close to what you're doing. Yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, you're not swinging that back end out on the asphalt or you're burning tires away, but you really have to ease into everything, right?
Well, for me, the driving's certainly going to be different with the different cars, but the uniqueness of the physical construction of the car, they're not long and narrow late models or SKs. They're shorter wheelbase, same type of width. So having that awareness of the size of the vehicle that you're controlling is going to be beneficial. For me, that'll carry over. Driving style is certainly very different, but just being aware of what you're driving is what I can take. When my practice with the dirt sprint and the asphalt sprint is, hey, there's a big fat tire sticking out there. Don't get too close to the wall. So it helps you be aware of that. But it's very different from the longer wheelbase cars.
Yeah, that big right rear is caught because I like to run the boards. I like to be right up on that wall, and that right rear has caught quite a few walls in my time. And I'll let you guys know ahead just to save you the trouble. The walls always win.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
The walls and the tires. The walls and the tires, because there's no asphalt tracks that have the tires down, do they?
No,
On the SK late models, well, there's none of them that have the tractor
so.
tires. No, I never really thought about that until just now. Yeah, the tractor tires you guys will see at different tracks, they always win too. They don't move. So, just a heads up on that. I found that out for you. I haven't. So,
Well, at least we got that out of the way.
yeah, and when we then after that it'll be really interesting for you guys because Saturday night starts the BRL late model series. So after driving, I don't know the word I'm looking for here, but hanging on in those sprint cars for the first hour of the night, what do you think? How much of a transition do you think it'll be hopping in those late models afterwards?
I know for me it's going to be enough that I don't want to wait till Saturday to find out. So I'm going to, after a couple practice sessions of the dirt cars, I'm going to jump in as the week gets closer to Saturday, get in that late model, make sure that I'm not trying to throw it sideways. I don't know. I think it might be trouble to. Go ahead.
Or maybe you do throw it sideways, Bruce.
I like that because you're always focused on that right front, right? Well, now you're going to have to focus on the right rear a little. I like that.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously a little more
yeah.
difficult, but I like where he's going with that.
Well, and funny you say that, Josh. You guys were talking about the importance of the throttle control. Well, BRL, one of the unique things about the BRL late model series is you've got to finish the race on the set of tires you have. 100 laps. You get to the end of these things. If you haven't been kind to your tires, especially early on in a run, they're not going to be kind to you at the end of the run. And they might not even make it the 100 laps and you're end up in the pits watching the rest of the race. Do you think that throttle control, what is your anticipation on maybe how that might help or hinder you? Because you still will get in the throttle probably a little more aggressively in the late model, but it's still going to be when you're on those sprint cars, your mind is always going to be easing in. Do you feel like that's going to play any of effect or maybe even help to an extent keep your tires under you?
I think it'll help me be more cognizant of what I'm doing with my right foot in the late model. That sometimes I like to mash it coming off, and the car's still turning, and the right front's getting mad at me. So I think it might be beneficial that way. But you have to be patient, and all four on Saturday, and if that patient carries over the late models, that's better.
How about for you, John? Is there, what do you think that transition will be like for you? Because that's a heck of a transition.
I don't think it'll be too bad. I don't know if it's just me, but I tend to drive every car. I drive that car. Like I don't maybe consider the fact that I was just hanging it out sideways in the dirt car, and now I'm getting in asphalt and I can't be doing that. I just take each car as its own, and kind of when I'm finished the midget or the non-wing 360, I just kind of turn that off in my head and go, okay, now we're in an asphalt car, and let's just go drive it like an asphalt car.
Makes sense. That's a disciplined driver that can do that. So that's actually impressive that you can, unplug from one, so to speak, and plug right into the other and it be seamless, because I can't do that. God knows I've tried. So that's actually really impressive that you can do that. So, Josh, you got anything else?
Yeah, so kind of Lowell brought it up a little bit. Some of these larger tracks that we're going to be heading to with these, does that change anything with obviously all the different cars? I'm sure it does something, but how do you approach, like, is there like a mile track that's coming in the schedule? Is there any of the larger tracks?
And I'll have to look here real quick. I just had the schedule pulled up and looked at it right before we came on, in fact.
I was saying, because I think that would completely change a lot of things, how you'd approach a track like that.
Well, it will. That's what I get for closing the tab. But that's a really good question here. Let's see here. Look at the schedules. You guys can see me do this in real time. That shows you that we actually record this live.
You got Richmond there.
Yeah, Richmond's on there.
Thompson.
Indianapolis Raceway Park. You probably get some speed built up there too. Oh, the Milwaukee Mile. There it is. And Iowa. Oh, good. I'm glad I forgot Iowa was on that thing. Iowa's so much fun in that Silver Crown car.
Hey, you were talking about that too.
Yeah. I mean, Iowa. Believe it or not, Iowa in the Silver Crown car was the most fun I've ever had on asphalt. That race. I mean, it was just a heck of a lot of fun. I'll tell you the one that's going to be interesting on there is Oswego, because Iowa you have the banking, Milwaukee you're flat, but I guess Milwaukee and Oswego you can both put in there, but because those corners on those two tracks are so long, it seems like forever in those corners. So, well, I'll be interested with tire wears on those two tracks. Not having that, because you're going to carry a lot of speed down into those corners with those longer straightaways on those bigger tracks. Iowa, you've got the banking to catch you, but you don't have that at Milwaukee. In fact, you don't have any banking in Milwaukee, if I remember correctly. So,
and let's not forget how smooth Oswego is. It's a nice smooth track.
I was curious about that bump out of 4, like how much that's going to change everything.
It's worse on dirt.
Yeah.
Is it?
The
Yeah,
bumps.
I
Oh,
have a
and
feeling
it's in coming out of turn 2 on dirt. If the track slicks off enough,
Ooh.
you are basically on a motocross track. You are bouncing and jumping over whip-de-doos coming out of turn 2. In fact, I know when I've raced there, I'm thinking every single car that I've raced there, with the exception of maybe the late model, I've avoided it. I've actually changed my line and purposely either ran higher, which is, you got people that know me to say I've ran higher, you know, but I'll stay up high and try to work around those, because if you hit those on dirt, especially in the non-wing, um, you know what? If you finish the straightaway, color me impressed. I think you should just take the win and park it. I mean, that's how gnarly it gets. Um, so yeah, follow me for golf tips too. You go out and drink enough, you hit the ball, you find your ball, you win the hole. So I use that philosophy in a lot of different sports. So
I like it.
yep, and it's the easiest way to do it. But yeah, to your question there, Josh, about the bigger tracks. I mean, I think that we all have to race them a little different, because, even though we're all doing the same things, lifting and getting the corners to work, but you're carrying so much more speed, which means closing rates can change. If somebody gets squirrely in front of you and you're on their bumper, where you're probably going to hit them. If you're at a little slower, a smaller track, to where you can see somebody get in trouble usually before they get in trouble, before they know they're in trouble. You don't get that on the big tracks. The big tracks, somebody can be 5-10 car lengths ahead of you, where you can't see that back end starting to slip out, but it is, and all of a sudden, boom, you're on them with those bigger tracks. I mean, you guys can chime in here, but I mean, that to me is a big thing on those little bit bigger tracks to be dealing with.
Well, to me, I think that from what I've seen so far, the shorter wheelbase, if you make sudden changes, the car's going to spin out quicker.
Yeah.
And so that's, yeah, you're going to come up on someone, the closing race really fast, they slip, and you got to brake hard or twitch, or move real quick. You could ruin your whole race, because they will flip a lot or spin a lot quicker, a lot easier.
Yeah, and on dirt, once you're committed to a line, that's where you're going. So somebody gets in trouble, you're usually going to do what you're supposed to do there and just hit them. I mean, that's just that's just the way it is on dirt, I guess. But the various tracks that Josh, that's such a great question, because there is a wide array of tracks built into that season. You've got longer tracks, you've got bull rings, you've got different surfaces.
They're sending you guys to everything.
Yeah,
and
it
you
is.
too.
Yeah, Josh, we'll get you in one. Come on, you can do one of each. So then you can come on the show out. Then we can bring these guys on at the end of the season, and we can talk about your experience.
Yep,
that'd be a great show. That'd be a great show.
I always say, if my schedule is definitely open up for the availability and I got nothing else going on, you never know where I might show up. I actually just did that. What was it, this past week with another league? I've been part of it, but I haven't run all season. And all of a sudden, boom, there I was.
Well, since you guys both have different experiences, and John, for the purposes of this question, I'm just going to consider you a dirt guy.
Okay.
So, Bruce, I'll start with you. Being an asphalt guy, give us dirt guys some advice. What would be the thing that you would think that we would need to figure out first, based on your somewhat limited experience in those cars? What do we need to figure out first when we get in them?
Oh gosh, just basic car control. When to set up the corner. I mean, you can't go in the corner. I'm finding myself going to a corner. Well, are you talking the Silver Crown?
Yeah, the Silver Crown or the non-wing, either one.
Oh,
but,
the non-wing.
Yeah, because
I'm sorry, I was thinking
there'll be a few guys on the dirt that'll come over that are true dirt guys that'll come over and run the asphalt.
Okay.
So I'm asking you to give me advice. Kind of think of it like that. Give me advice on how to run those asphalt cars. What would be the biggest piece of advice that you would offer?
You're gonna have to, I think, lift sooner going to the corner than what you think, because those cars carry so much speed. You're gonna have to do that. You're gonna push coming out of the corner. What I've been able to find. So if you can do that, the other thing is you can't get on the throttle until halfway down the straightaway with any degree of assertiveness, and then you'll never get full throttle.
Boy,
because right when you start to get on it, you got to lift to make the corners.
Boy, the dirt guys are going to have their hands full because there's always, it seems to be a disconnect between our foot and our brain. Just down, how about you, John? Give advice to the asphalt guys that are going to dip their toes in here. I mean, what would be the biggest piece of advice with these cars?
It's all in your right foot driving these cars. And basically what I mean by that is when you think you're ready to pin it, don't roll into it, because if you get those tires spinning, the whole car will end up spinning. And when you think your brake pedal is your friend, it's not necessarily. You'll throw that brake on and the car will go straight. These cars steer a lot better with your throttle than they do with the brakes and the steering wheel.
What's funny is you guys almost sound like you're giving the same advice for the same car, but across, with all the throttle control. I mean, seriously, I just would have never put that together until we did this show here. So that's kind of incredible. The one thing that I will add in for the dirt side of things to help guys out, I'm going to grab my steering wheel since it's sitting right here. Coming out of the corner, 3 o'clock. If your wheel goes past 3 o'clock, you're too sideways and you're scrubbing speed. 2 o'clock, that's your sweet spot. If you can get, when you're in a corner, if you can hold your wheel as you're drifting through the corner at 2 o'clock, and then all you have to do is come back that far, that's how you go fast on dirt. With the throttle. You got to have the throttle part of that. That's probably the bigger piece of it. But that steering wheel, everybody always sees these cars and you see them way hung out and they think that they got to throw them in and really rotate. Yeah. There'll be times where you'll do it and you'll do it inadvertently, but to go fast, your fastest laps will come when you're about 2 o'clock.
I may or may not have been like this a few times, if I can recall.
Yeah, and that's scrubbing a whole lot of speed. You can get around a corner that way. You can have control doing that. But if you've got that back end hanging out, all you're doing is spinning the tires trying to get the car straight, and that will slow you down. So that's the other piece of advice that I would part with. 2 o'clock. That would be my biggest piece of advice, folks.
Well, let me ask you this, John. You say you like to run the boards, right? So in my practices, I can run low, but I'm having a really tough time getting out toward the wall without crashing into it. So I don't know how to set the car up to go through the corner so I can make it all the way through.
You lift earlier than what you would on the bottom.
Really?
To get the car set. Yeah, you lift earlier. And then once the car starts to get into its pitch, the thing is you got to come out of the throttle to keep it off. But once you find your pitch, perfect, your wheel's at 2 o'clock, your foot has to stay stationary on that throttle all the way through the corner. Because if you go down, if you go up, that's where you're going to start having to do this.
Okay.
That foot has to stay stationary. Once you find that spot, Josh, once your foot finds that spot. And the thing is that I have found that works on asphalt too. If you get into the corner, you can find a place, especially in the center of the corner, at a place like Southern National. If you hold your foot as you're, to kind of keep the RPMs and kind of keep it rolling, not so much getting forward bite, but not letting the car slow down any further. Does that make sense? On the asphalt? You get to a point where, okay, you're not trying to power up, but you don't want the car to go any slower. So what do? You hold your foot steady to keep that pace. Same thing on the asphalt. Keep your foot steady and just drive it right around. And once you get that car pointed straight and you can see the slick start going under your car, start rolling back in the throttle and you should be good. But like I said, come race with us on the big blocks on Friday. We'll do a practice session and I'm sure Chris will probably hop over and dirt guys can help the asphalt guys. We just expect the same when we switch to asphalt, then we're going to be hitting you guys up. So,
okay.
But anyway, yeah, a little dirt 101 there for everybody in there. But, like I said, Friday nights is, for anybody that wants to get a little dirt practice, BRL will be running the big block modifieds. And the thing is that I'll tell you, if you're really wanting, those cars are so important with throttle control. So if you're struggling with throttle control, come give the big blocks a try, because big blocks will teach you, because they have a straight axle. They're not independent suspension like the late models and the other thing. They are real easy to spin the tires. So if you're working on throttle control on dirt, come run with us on Friday night. Big blocks will really, really teach you throttle control. But then Saturday night, we're going to roll in and get this thing kicked off this Saturday right here. And then for the Saturday night league will be on Friday night or Saturday night. I might get my days mixed up here. For the BRL 8 models here. Real quick, I know we're talking about the sprint car, and I'll kind of maybe end this thing on this, but what is your expectations for you guys on the BRL 8 model series? I mean, that's your bread and butter series, and I'll start with you, John. What's your expectation going on, heading into the season for those late models?
Well, I kind of had a rough season last season. I'd like to start it off a little better. I had a rough few races there at the beginning that, I was finishing well back in the order, not making the invert. So if I can kind of keep it clean, I guess, have a little better luck, I'd like to maybe get back into the top 5, if not higher up.
How about you, Bruce?
For me, I got to work on my mindset. I points race to win that title. That was just points racing. I've never won a late model race. I've won plenty of SKs. My goal is just try to get my mindset straight to where I can fight for wins and be more consistent in the top 5 and top 3 and get that first win. That's my mindset. Be a little bit more, try to find more confidence in achieving that particular. I want to win a race, man.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Bruce. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, don't we all? Bruce, I'll be surprised. If you don't. I mean, you're one of the guys that I always think whenever I show up and run those things, that you're one of the guys that got to beat. So, yeah, I've always have thought that on that side of things. So, Josh, you got anything else here?
Honestly, no. I think we pretty much covered everything I had.
Okay. Well, you know what, though? We've got a good, busy week here on VGN, and I kind of want to go over some of the things that we've got going on tonight. Josh, you'll be on the call with Soup with the ARCA series, the TBP ARCA series at Phoenix Raceway. Yeah, have you run an ARCA car there at Phoenix? What do you expect there tonight?
I honestly have not. However, just watching those guys for the one race that I did cover from them, really talented group. Very clean, respectful guys. So I think it's going to be. I mean, it's Phoenix, so if you know that with the ARCA car, it's going to be interesting. I mean, definitely get wide there into the corners. I'm curious how many guys get a little aggressive, maybe early, having that fast repair. Hopefully, nobody needs to use it, but it is racing, and that it is there for a reason sometimes, I guess. But I'm excited just because the talent that's out there. I think it's going to bring some really good racing.
Josh or John or Bruce, do you guys, either one of you guys, run the ARCA car out there?
I have in the past, but not recently.
I run it in a series that Matt Hoos runs, actually tonight, Sunday night. And we don't have a lot of guys in the series, so we use AI, and it's a blast. It's a blast. It fills the field. There's 5 or 6 of us, and then the rest we do with AI, and we have a riot.
Well, that's awesome. Well, then, you know what? Thursday night, we're going to slip into Stafford Speedway here, one of the cornerstone tracks for the SK, and that's you, Josh. Red Light Racing's Skidder Creek SK Modified Series. Going to roll up there to Stafford. Once again, I'll defer to you on this one. What are you expecting up there?
So the setup that we have from Team 53, I think, is going to be, it is different from anything we've ever brought to Stafford. We're going to be able to actually really use the apron, not as much as real life, but you're going to be able to use it a lot more than you've seen with any of the setups we've had before. So I think that's going to bring a lot more to the racing we have at Stafford. I think it's going to make it more entertaining. Stafford gets really hard to just be that one groove track. This widens it up just a little bit. So it's just going to depend on the drivers and how they try to approach that, and if they really want to tackle the apron or if they're a little afraid of it. Obviously, anything in the past will make you a little more afraid of it, but I really like the stability with this setup, and I think it's going to be a really great race.
Awesome. Well, then Saturday night, VGN will roll into the North Wilkesboro Speedway with the BRL Late Model Invitational Series. Real quick, guys. I'll start with you, John. Give me the lowdown on North Wilkesboro.
I actually don't have one.
All right, then. Bruce, what's the lowdown on North Wilkesboro?
Well, I've got a question. Are we running the old one or running the new scan?
I got a feeling we're going to run the old one, I'm hearing.
Okay.
We're going to, I take it back. We're going to run the new scan.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I haven't been on it yet, so I'm eager for it. But I love that track.
Well, track layout, but I guess, yeah, with the new asphalt and stuff like that, it'll probably run a little bit different.
It's gonna drive a little different.
Well, and Sunday, October 5th, we're going to take OBRL is going to be the Yesteryear Cup Series is going to be at the Charlotte Motor Speedway running the Roval. I will be on the call with that. They are in the midst of their playoffs, and if you guys, if you're just fans of racing, I recommend tuning into that. Those guys are just top notch. Some of the best racing that I've seen. I mean, any one of these series can lay claim to that. But, they're a really good group of guys, and, man, they're a lot of fun. They're getting down to it, their final stretch here, and a lot on the line for some of those guys to make it to the next round. So just like the real-world counterparts. And the next Tuesday, we're going to be right back here on VGN Weekly. We're going to talk about different equipment that you can use to get an iRacing, some things that guys, so it'll be kind of a nerd show, which is I'm excited about, to be quite frank with you. Get different perspectives from different people that have different things there to make them go fast. So until then, my name is John Hine, along with Josh Buckley. We thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again right here next week.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of VGN Weekly. Join us next time for race recaps, interviews, and much, much more. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner or potential sponsor and have a broadcasting need, please visit virtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. This has been a production of the Virtual Grip Network and the Skinner Creek Motorsports Group.